We're going to begin with this. We've got two major developing stories for you today, not just one, but two. First, the Trump administration's new tariffs on three major trading partners, Mexico, Canada, and China, went into effect at midnight last night, and some of those countries have already retaliated. And second, the White House paused all U.S. military aid to Ukraine after that very explosive showdown between President Trump and President Zelensky. Now, that's the backdrop for the president's speech tonight in Congress, and Tony is there in Washington getting ready to bring us all the latest. Tony, good morning to you. Everybody's saying how dapper you look today. Good morning, Mr. Dokoupil.
Well, Gayle, thank you very much. You're back from the Oscars, Hollywood's biggest night. Nate's been on a beach vacation, and here I am in Washington, D.C., and it's not even a State of the Union, so I'm questioning my life choices just a little bit. But, look, it is going to be a big night, a potentially historic night in what has already been a fast-moving and consequential presidency in less than 100 days. You got to keep that in mind. We've been told by the Speaker of the House to expect fireworks tonight. So while a typical joint address might be a somewhat boring, somewhat somber list of goals from a new president, you can expect President Trump to instead tout action, accomplishments. And there's been a lot of that, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe no president since FDR has attempted so much so quickly. There is, for example, the at times chaotic effort by Elon Musk and DOGE to shrink the size of the federal government. Also on the list, working toward a ceasefire in Ukraine by, it would seem, whatever means necessary. Also, the hefty new tariffs on imported goods from Canada, Mexico, and China. And this morning, by the way, China has said it will retaliate, and Canada also already hitting back. And that is just one of many moves this White House has made to expand the power of the executive branch. So much has happened, really, that even folks here in Washington, D.C. struggle at times to process it all. But that's why we have Nancy Cordes, our chief White House correspondent, to stay on top of everything. Nancy, good morning.
Good morning, Tony. I have had my struggles, but today is a day that the president will be front and center. And you know that this is a president who cares a lot about the stock market. But yesterday, after he announced that there was no way out for Canada and Mexico, the Dow fell 650 points. Still, 25% tariffs on their goods went into effect overnight, with President Trump calling it a punishment, though it's unclear in the case of Canada in particular what that punishment exactly is for.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada.
President Trump is calling today's tariffs a powerful weapon, a weapon that will now be wielded on food, lumber, electronics, cars, anything that comes into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico.
It's a very powerful weapon that politicians haven't used because they were either dishonest, stupid, or paid off in some other form. And now we're using them.
The move could wound American consumers, too, as producers pass along that new 25% tax, driving up the cost of a small car by an estimated $6,200 or an SUV by $9,000. So many car components are built across the border.
Because of the arbitrary nature of the emergency use of tariffs that are being done, we don't know how long they're going to be in effect. At the end of the day, there is little doubt that consumers will feel the pain of this, but it will also impact consumer demand as well.
Economic uncertainty already pushed consumer confidence down in February. And in a new CBS News poll, just 24% of Americans say the economy is getting better. 49% said it's getting worse. But President Trump says the tariffs are needed to punish Mexico and Canada for allowing migrants and the deadly drug fentanyl into the U.S.
Less than 1% of all fentanyl that comes into the U.S. is apprehended at the Canadian border. So why use fentanyl as a reason?
They're only apprehending 1%. You're right about that. It's a little more than that. But they should be apprehending much more because a lot comes through Canada.
Again, all the data that we have indicates that that is simply not the case. But what does come in through Canada is about a third of the softwood lumber that this nation uses, which has led analysts to predict that home building prices will be going up. President Trump says that if companies don't like these new tariffs, they can simply move production to the United States. But, Tony, when it comes to things like lumber or fruits and vegetables from Mexico, moving it here, not that easy.
No, it takes time, and there are benefits that the president is touting, but there could be sacrifices in the short term. Sacrifice is not a word he typically would want to use with the American people. We'll see if it comes up tonight, if they got to shoulder some of the burden. Appreciate you staying on top of all of this.